this conversation. We're going to talk mindset, a little bit of woo, but really practical manifestation. If you know me, I believe in manifestation, but really I think there's a practical science and art to it. And then I also want to talk some practical strategy today. So we're going to walk away and talk about both. So let me just prep our conversation. If you're hopping on now, say hi. I always like to know who's here. And as I go through this, if you have questions, reflections, I love to interact on these. So please don't hold back. Feel free to share any of your thoughts. And if you have questions as well, happy to share those. And then similarly on the replay, if you want to leave any thoughts for me, I will always come back and reply to those. So I today want to talk about the crazy thing that happened to me at a mastermind event I just went to and my specific mindset and manifestation lesson from it. It was one of those things, I feel like this is one of those things, I'm going to share it. And I feel like this is something I kind of knew that I always say, like, there's a difference between knowing with a lowercase k and knowing with a capital K, like full body knowing. And it was just a really good takeaway for me. And I went to Selena Soo's Rich Relationships Mastermind this past weekend. If you don't know Selena Soo, she is brilliant. She is the author of the USA bestseller Rich Relationships, and she's a PR expert, a relationship building expert. She's a super connector. I first heard her speak 8 years ago here in New York City when her business was quite different. It was more kind of on the PR side of things. And I've read her book, and my coach actually, I wanted to do more in-person stuff, and I wanted to like get my butt out from behind the screen and in person this year. And so my coach actually recommended her event, and I'm so glad she did. But she's brilliant, but she's all about so much of what I teach in terms of social currency. I've been very much inspired by her work. She's very relationship based in terms of her strategies. So I'm going to share that manifesting lesson, but I'm also going to share a takeaway and something at the end here, just a really practical takeaway in terms of not just building relationships, but what I see when I look at networking. I think where so many of us end up getting friend zoned and don't get the results we want from networking. Some of the things I was just more observing when I was at the mastermind in terms of what makes those relationships rich and what turns those into leading into referrals or leading into high ticket sales and clients. I want to share that practical takeaway with you. So I promise we'll talk the woo, but we will also talk the practical strategy there for you. So I'll just dive into my notes here. And again, let me know if you have questions. So I think, let me just like think of how like the best way to context this. I think what is maybe helpful to name is from like just understanding why I went to this mastermind, so you can understand kind of my manifesting takeaway and kind of what I'm currently working on manifesting. So I currently, this is just like very transparent, but I think it's just helpful to hear these things from other people as well. Currently in my business, like what I'm manifesting, I've made 50K cash months as a one-on-one coach, but I'm really manifesting or really focused on making those consecutively or consistently. And one of the edges I am personally working on that I know is, I think this is for so many, I see this in so many of my clients as well, but this has probably always been my work. I'm just seeing this as a next level, like layer to peel and to work on, especially if I want to, with an all one-on-one model with the work I'm doing, just whether, I always think about this with money goals. I care less about whether or not I ever make consistent, I make consistent 40K cash plus months in my business. We make great money. I make multi-six figure years, pay myself multi-six figures per year. If I never make, I always say this, I have a revenue share model. If I never make more money in my business, I'm content and happy. So when I make a revenue goal, I'm always holding this very lightly. And I think about it more in terms of, I get more excited about the process of who I need to become, what I need to step into, like those edges to reach that goal, less that I do like, I need to hit this goal. I realize depending on where we're at a business, sometimes we like really do need to hit that financial goal because we need that to be able to pay ourselves, to pay our bills, to pay our life. So I think there's nuance within that. I am not saying money does not matter at all, but I do think there's a certain place for all of us in business and a certain amount of money where after that it's really fun and nice to have, but it is it's nice to have, but it isn't at this stage in my business. And I know this is past Kim would have hated me for saying this, but I think it's just important to name because we can get so lost in the sauce in our online space, chasing bigger numbers. I wrote a post about this and getting caught chasing more and more and more. I've just really learned after a certain amount, you do need enough to pay your expenses in business and to invest in your business and to pay yourself well and to invest, right? We need that. And once we're past that, more is nice, but more really doesn't change your day-to-day that much. But what does change your day-to-day is how you are enjoying that money and how you're enjoying your business. It's why I'm such a big believer in building a business you actually want and a model you actually want that lights you up. And what really does matter is your experience of that. And so with any goal, I just heard, I swear this will all connect. Brad, I think his name's like Brad Stupert. He wrote The Way of Excellence. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but I just saw something he wrote, and it was sort of like um, high achievers and people who have created a lot of excellence. They care less about achieving the goal and more about the process, the mastery of the goal. And so that's the way I think a lot about these things. I hold my big goals in business very lightly, and I care so much more about the mastery, the process, who I'm going to become in the process, who I'm going to become more of, what I need to master to create that goal, because that is my day to day. That is my experience. And if I never reach that goal, I talk about this. I've like had my goal at the gym, right, was to do a pull up. Then it was to do 5. Now it's to do 10 we'll see if I hit it by my 45th birthday. But it's less like I can do 5 pull ups. It's less, can I actually do 10 pull ups by my 45th birthday? It's more having that goal. What do I need to think? What do I need to believe? What do I need to show up for? Who do I need to be? How do I need to train? Like, what is the process of that? That matters so much more than that goal that'll be once you reach it. It's such like a fleeting moment once it passes. Hopefully that's landing. So for me, knowing that when I have a bigger goal, what's fun for me and expansive for me around that is thinking more around, let me know if this is all landing for you, but it's more thinking about who do I need to be to create this goal? How do I need to show up? What is that? And so for me, a lot of what I'm working on and what I know for Next Level Kim, right? If next level Kim, and if Kim wants to consistently make more revenue or be $1 million one-on-one coach, how do I need to show up? What do I need to embody? How do I need to think? What is the process of that? I know practically, strategically, I have those things down. I know my coaching abilities I've helped plenty of clients scale to 6, multi 6 and 7 figures, right? I know that's not something that's missing, but I know one of the big edges for me is what I'm trying to demonstrate here, which is me not diminishing and downplaying my work, my abilities, my brain, my coaching, my success, frankly, how good my business and my life and my results are. And I think I was just talking about this with a client literally before this call. We were talking about this because this is something I was reflecting and noticed in her. And I think this week's podcast episode talks about this a little bit. I see this in so many of my clients. And I think, I don't want to go too far off a tangent, but I think a lot of the good girl conditioning patriarchy has wired this into us. And that is this: we can be great at what we do. We can be getting great results for ourselves, great results for our clients. And there is even if we talk about it, there's such a way in which we will diminish it or downplay it. So it's I think it's a little insidious, because what I find in my own self, and maybe some of y'all will relate and resonate to this. I used to talk a lot about like hiding in plain sight and taking up space. And we will think, well, I am taking up space. I am sharing these things. But then if we look at it, we see how quick we are to diminish, to downplay, to deflect a compliment, or to make it seem one of my patterns for sure. And I'm sure many of you high achievers will relate to this. I have a tendency, when things come more easily for me, or when I put in the work in the past, right? The pull-ups are a good example. Those used to be really hard for me, but now they're not, because I've put in the reps and kind of done the work in the past. But I have a tendency to want to, I don't want people to feel bad, or I don't want to look like I'm being braggalicious, or like, oh, must be nice for her. So I have a tendency to make things, seem like they're more of a struggle than they are. And I think a lot of us do this. So one of my biggest edges, probably forever edges, but I just before this mastermind, we're going to bring it back to this, got off a call with my coach, and she was sort of reflecting to me how, she's like, you're doing great in business. Everybody online is talking about how hard business is, how hard it is to sell coaching, how hard it is to get results. She's like, I was thinking about this before our call. She's like, you're thriving, you're killing it. Business is never been better for you. Your clients are killing it and getting great results. You have a great business. You're happy. Everything in your life is good. She's like, but you don't share that. You don't talk about that. And we were just talking about what an edge this is. So that's Kim's work. So now you know what I'm manifesting. Now you know what my work is. So I go to this mastermind, and it's Selena Soo's mastermind. And in full transparency, I went to build relationships. I'm a business coach. I have a business coach. I think Selena is brilliant. I chose her mastermind, yes, because of referral, but I think she's brilliant. I love her values and philosophies in terms of building relationships. I read her book. I want to learn from her. I also think there is something to um, what I personally benefit a lot from is I don't need necessarily one-on-one coaching. My business is working, like I just said, but I really value being around and seeing other people who are succeeding, who are thriving, who are doing so in a way that, from what I can see, is values aligned and are doing things really well. So I was going to this mastermind because I wanted to meet new people who had aligned values, to build rich relationships. And I wanted to learn from Selena. And I also wanted to watch and see another person who's like in their brilliance, in their genius, like how they show up, how they operate, how they interact with their team, how they hold space, how they run an event, right? So, and I also wanted to be able to go and, I work with clients only one-on-one. Most of my clients don't want a one-on-one business model. So I also, if it's just helpful to hear like why I'd go to something like this, I wanted to go also just to see how an event like this was run, so that I can pick up things for my clients as well. I mean, I think that's I might not be going for business strategy, but that is business strategy in some ways. So that's why I signed up for this thing. And as we get like a couple days before, I'm like an introverted extrovert. I love one-on-one groups. So I don't have a group program. I do really well at one-on-one. I don't do well with small talk. I don't love group containers. So I work with my own one-on-one coach. I also think from a business coaching perspective, groups have a lot of value. I have a lot of clients who sell them, right? I just paid to go to one. But if you're looking for actual business coaching, like I would never pay for a weekend to do, like that's not going to be it. You need that. I believe you need that one-on-one time. It's also, the Knicks had just won here. So we had a ticker tape parade. So getting to the airport was like a nightmare. There was a heat wave in Texas. There were all of these things where as we were leading up to the mastermind event, I was like, oh, why did I sign up for this thing? Like, why did I spend all of this money? I do not want to get on a plane. I do not want to deal with all of this like nightmare traffic at the airport. I don't want to be in a group. Then I find out we have to present. And I'm like, I have to present now? It's like 5 days before the event. And so everything in my head is I'm just like, oh, love Selena, want to go for her. Like all of these like Kim stuff, like edges, or like, what, like my business is good. Like, why don't I just stay at home? Like everything is working. Like, why am I doing this to myself? And so I had a little talk with myself. I coached myself and I'm like, we're doing this for a reason. We're doing this to meet people. You want to learn from Selena. You also said you want to expand yourself and you want to stretch yourself and you want to step outside your comfort zone. And you don't know what you're going to get from this, but you just have to trust and believe that you are going to show up and you're going to get exactly what you're meant to out of this. So I think when I went as well, I'm like, oh, I'm not like going for business coaching. I'm not like, I'm fully booked. I'm not going for a client. Like what am I going for? And so I just had this talk with myself. I was like, you know that every time you step outside your comfort zone and you have an intention, like you might not get what you think, but like you'll get exactly what you're meant to. So I went in, like I shifted that really quickly. I went in very open-minded, and we had to say intentions. I even said this intention at the beginning where like I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what I'm here for, but I trust, like I know I'm going to get exactly what I'm supposed to, and I really trust that, whether that's an aha, a takeaway. So I know this is a bit long-winded, but I hope there's some nuggets in here for you just in terms of lessons, but I'll share getting to the manifesting lesson. So I get there, we do our presentation, like our 10-minute presentation, and a couple of things happen after that. I didn't realize how, sometimes we're too close to our own magic. I didn't realize how valuable what I was sharing was. I shared a snippet from my webinars, masterclass webinar sales minus the egg. And I got really lovely feedback, which talking about like not diminishing things, right? Like I had to like sit with, I had multiple people tell me like I am brilliant and how much they love my brain and how I think about business and how I approach things. And I think this is just a little side note. Not be careful what you wish for, but just how setting intentions works. I have in all sincerity been journaling. I love my brain. People love my brain. People hire me because they want my brain in their business. So it was very fascinating. 3 different people came up to me and said, I love your brain. I love how you think. I love how you approach business. I was like, this is weird. So then we have a conversation, like we move on. The next part of the conversation is around lead generation. And Selena very generously, I think this was very, very generous of her. But she's like, she shared her bit and she's like, I'm actually going to have Kim come up here because she works with clients one-on-one and she's really seeing what's working across industries. I'm going to have her come up and present on this. Now, mind you, I had no idea that this was going to happen. I had no idea I was going to present on this. And this was sort of like, oh, I'm presenting on lead generation in a couple minutes. But think about everything I've been talking about wanting to manifest, and talking about what I want to step into. I'm wanting to manifest, stepping into embodying my work more, like being respected for my brain and my thoughts, not diminishing things, like showing I know my stuff, right? Like these are things I want to step into. So I I received that. And I think it was, I don't know if it was intuitive on Selena's part or just very generous or just what that was. I thought it was very, very generous because it's, it's kind of her stage. And then at the end of the day, we also find out we're voting on who presented that day to come back and present a longer, basically talk on their topic the next day. And I got voted to come back the following day. Which again, it could be sort of like, wait, I now have to like present for 25 minutes and do this longer thing. But I really saw all of this as, oh my gosh, I literally manifested this. And what a mindset shift and opportunity for me to get exactly what I needed and exactly what I'm asking for, which is to step into and embody my work more, to not diminish, to not downplay, to really be respected for my brain and my thought process and my thought leadership, to have that reflected to me, right? Like, and what I was thinking about and the like mind, and then I promise I'll share the networking strategies as well, because I feel like that's probably what everybody wants to hear. But I was just thinking, I'm like, wow, a couple of things came up for me. First and foremost, there is no amount of journaling I could have done to say I like love my brain, or like I'm like gonna take up space and I'm gonna embody without diminishing my work. There is no amount of journaling I could have done that could have given me what paying money to get on a plane, to get in front of people and have somebody call me up onto stage to basically own my work and to take up, like, I mean, I took up so much space. I mean, I was given space too, and it's like Selena knew what I really needed there. I think that's probably the just also a reflection to what a good coach she is and how good she is at being a super connector. But there is no amount of journaling and mindset work I could have done that could have not only like taken me outside of my comfort zone, but stretched me and given me the opportunity. I feel like I rewired more shit about playing small and hiding in plain sight and taking up space and like owning that like I'm a badass boss bitch. Like I feel like I did more through the experience of that than I could have ever done journaling. I am a journaler. I love me some mindset work, but it was just such a reminder to me that I think we forget how much of mindset work is active. I talk about this with clients all the time. I think we were even talking about this on the podcast this week, how we need to take that contrary action and have those corrective experiences to really shift and rewire our brain. And I think sometimes when we're looking at, I want to embody being a next level XYZ thing, I want to be more confident, I want to be like have $1 million mindset, whatever the thing is we tell ourselves, it's so easy for us just to get, I love to journal. I love affirmations. I am not discounting this, but I think we can just get in a rut of only doing that and never take those contrary actions, never get outside our comfort zone, never do the things that actually give us the new experience, that actually give us the, like, some of the things that probably scare us and to help us to see like, oh, I'm fine. Not only am I fine, I thrived in this, or to even fall on our face. I was talking this with my husband yesterday. I went to the gym. I do box jumps and I do the high box jumps, and I'm really good at them, but the only reason I'm really good at them is at one point I wasn't, and I was willing to just fall on my face and like literally, and get better at them. I think we forget how much we need to take those contrary actions, to do those things and to have those corrective experiences to really shift our mindset. And so that was, I feel like I learned more about taking up space, embodying my work, not diminishing, not downplaying through that than I ever could have just talking through it. And I am a talking through it journal person. But the other piece with manifest, like just in terms of the manifesting lesson that came up for me, I think when we think about manifesting, so often we think if we just like decide we want something and want it bad enough and believe it badly enough, like maybe even take some action, right? But then we're going to get the thing. And I actually believe in manifesting. I think it is very practical and brain based as well. But I've also had some like crazy magical, I'm like in a season, I was just talking about this with a client yesterday, of like really tapping back into the magic of things as well. But I think what I have really come to learn about manifesting is so often when we want something really big, and there is something between us and that big thing we want, oftentimes things have to be shifted and rearranged for us to create that thing and have that thing. When I wanted to move to New York City and basically change my entire life, and I wanted to manifest that, right? Like there's a lot of practical stuff in that and mindset stuff in that, but a lot had to also be rearranged in my life right? I had to sort of like blow some things up. I had to let go of some things. I had to have a series of lessons and opportunities that I had to learn and grow through so I could become a New Yorker, right? Like you don't just land in New York City and become a New Yorker. The New York likes to haze you. It likes to have your ceiling fall in with sewage in your really expensive apartment. Joking, but not joking. Right, we forget that that is a part of manifesting, and so then we go about manifesting things, not everybody, but I think a lot of us go about manifesting things, and the first second, we don't see the thing we're manifesting show up, and instead we see something that looks like getting on a plane, going through a parade, and a lot of travel in a heat wave, and having to present something we hadn't planned, and doing something really uncomfortable. We're like, well, that's what I'm fucking like. I am manifesting consistent 50K months. I am manifesting 600 and 700K years or $1 million years. Like this doesn't look like that. But what I was reminded is I'm like, oh no, this is exactly that, because these are all the things I need to work through, that the layers I need to shed, the lessons I need to learn, the challenges I need to overcome, the corrective experiences I need to overcome. Like everything I want is in front of me, but these are some of the things I have to move away or create, or I have to create space for things. I was talking about this with a client yesterday. She's had some client spots open up and she was really getting frustrated about it. I'm like, but you just booked a bunch of new clients who are at your higher rates. And I think she just booked 2 new clients that are coming in at her higher rates. Like that's what you wanted. The only way for that to happen was you first had to have space because you were fully booked for those clients to come in at the higher rate. Like you wanted to make more money. We raised your rates, but you want to scale your revenue. And you basically manifested in air quotes, right? It's also just normal for clients to fall away, but she had some clients fall. She was so fixated on what a problem, what a challenge this was, instead of seeing those clients falling away was actually what was required for her to book in clients at a higher rate and to make more money. Space had to be created. In my case, sometimes space has to be created, or sometimes we have to create the space to step into that next level, or to step into the learning, or to step into that corrective experience. And so that was, let me know this is landing for y'all. But it was just such a reminder for me of manifesting and just embracing that, but also a little bit of like, be careful what you wish for. But I think when we're really serious about deciding something and wanting something, it's a little bit of like buckle up, because things can show up for you really quickly. And if you're willing to grab them and embrace them and see them as, this is the lesson I need to have, this is the challenge I need to have, this is the thing I meant to overcome, like this is the box I meant to fall on so that I can jump up on it the next time, or I'm like this, I could see this as like, oh, I'm super uncomfortable and I'm going to do my past Kim self thing and like, pretend I don't know things, or like not want to like overstep Selena's light and like not take up too much space here, and like just share really like in a small way. Or I could see this as like, wait, this is what I have been asking for. I have been saying I want to not diminish. I've been saying I don't want to downplay. I've been saying I want to take up more space. Somebody is on a silver platter giving me this opportunity. Why don't I step into it? Why don't I see this as I am manifesting this? This is part of what gets me everything I say I want. So that was my really big manifesting lesson. Also just fun, and I am also proud of myself. I'm proud of myself, but I'm also it was just such a nice, like it was such a I cannot I love my coach. I will sing my coach's praises forever. But I also want to sing Selena's praises, because I think and then I'll get to the networking lesson. I think the way she created and facilitated that, I feel like she, whether again intuitively or just being an expert, like a coach for so long, I think she did such a great job of really seeing what each of us needed. Not everybody needed to take up space in the way I did. You know what I mean? Like she created the space and the platform. Like that's what I was paying for. That's what I didn't realize that when I made the investment, but that's really what I was investing in, was that opportunity. And I think it was also very generous of her. And I know I think I provided a lot of value for everybody there. But I think that's just something for all of us who are coaches or who are service providers. I think I just saw how she did that with everybody there. It was something I was just really witnessing and watching. And I think it's just a reminder for all of us. People come into our containers paying for one thing, and we of course want to deliver on what they're paying for. But I think so often it is our job to kind of like hear the words beyond the words, like to see the bigger picture, to help solve the right problem, and to see like put the broccoli into the mac and cheese, and to sometimes deliver people what they don't even know they need or are looking for. And I just want to give a lot of credit to that. And again, I just think it's also really was very generous of her. Okay, I'm going to pivot though. I'm going to pivot, like hard pivot. And I know this is a little bit of like a 2-part live masterclass, but I do want to share there were 2 very practical strategy pieces, and I have a client call after this, so I cannot go over. more. And I wanted to make sure I share these with you. So kind of hard pivoting into building relationships. And building relationships, I teach my masterclass, Social Currency. It's if you go to my website, it's evergreen if you want to download that, and it walks through how to build leverage strategic relationships in my 3-part framework. And I think about this a lot. Like, I probably talk about this in content all the time. Relationships are business is all about relationships. The money in your business is tied to the depth and the quality of your relationships and how strategic and how leveraged they are. And I think what happens a lot when it comes to building relationships and when it comes to networking, we just look at them as relationships and as a network, and we forget the strategic and leveraged part. And I think if you are here, you are probably heart-centered, you are probably caring. I think when we add strategic and leveraged to the word relationship or network, suddenly it feels like it is an exchange, and it feels gross, and it feels icky. And so I think a lot of us shy away from that part. However, if we are business owners, we are in the business of exchanging money, right, for value, right? We deliver value, somebody pays us for it, right? It isn't even an energy exchange we are producing. And so if we look at relationships, if I bookended my trip on either side, getting to see 2 of my besties, which, side note, I felt like it was free because my business paid for it, which is very fun. Those relationships, not like, I mean, one of them has definitely sent me a client before, so they can definitely still send me referrals. They can be great for business, but those really aren't business relationships. My business is not built on my 2 besties, even though those are 2 of the strongest. We've been best friends for, I don't know, what, 20, 25 years or something like this at this point. Those are very, very strong relationships. They have depth, they have accessibility, they have all the things that is needed, but they're really not what is building my business because they're not also strategic and leveraged, right? I really do need a strategic leverage relationship, right? When I talk about just 4 relationships alone last year made me, what was it, like $168,000. Those are strategic leverage relationships. I made far more money than that in my business last year, but that's just from an example from 4 relationships. So when I was kind of like observing the mastermind I was at, I noticed 2 things that I think we often forget about when we are networking that I really saw Selena help facilitate, and that I really was thinking about. This is the difference between going somewhere to network. I think a lot of us, we go to network and we go to events and we're like, I'm building relationships and I'm networking, but I feel like now I just know a lot of people, or I got a lot of people liking my content, or it feels like I'm getting friend zoned with people. It doesn't feel like it is strategic and leverage. It's not turning into referrals. It's not turning into clients, right? I think all of us understand that difference. So the 2, obviously there's more takeaways in this. Go watch my masterclass if you want more on this, but there were 2 key pieces, particularly the mastermind, that I think Selena really helped facilitate. The first part that I really noticed when we had to do those initial shares, she called them genius shares, the like 10 minutes where I was sort of like, oh my gosh, I got to present at this thing. I said we were having lunch and I was talking to Selena afterwards, and I said to her, I was like, that was really generous of you to let us do that. And she said, and I think this is like where it landed the plane in my brain. She's like, yeah, she's like, but also, I'm paraphrasing. It's not exactly how she said it, but she said along the lines of, yeah, but she's like, if you all are going to send referrals to one another and be referral partners, that's really hard to do if you don't really understand each other's businesses and work, and like really understand that work. And it was such a light bulb. I was like, genius that you set it up this way. Of course you do. You're the rich relationships queen. You're the super connector queen. But it just reminded me there is a big difference between building a relationship and a network and finding a way to demonstrate value. And I always think about this. I share this in in the webinar sales masterclass. My whole strategy in business has always been, how do I get face to face with people and share value, help somebody get a result, get a win before they ever pay me a dime. That has been if you look at my entire business strategy, you could boil it down to that. What I noticed Selena was saying, and when I think about networking, you can just get face to face with people, shoot the shit, have small talk, be their bestie, be super nice, be really lovely, and you will have a relationship, you will have a network. But the difference is, are you adding value? Are you showcasing your work? Are you taking up space with your work, like we were just talking about? Are you helping somebody get a win before they ever pay you a dime? It's when we marry those pieces together that they become strategic and leverage. I will refer business to some of the people I met at that mastermind. And I'm sure they will do the same for me, not only because we met each other, but because we now understand what one another brings to the table. In fact, I know this is true because one of the people at the mastermind I met at an in-person event here in New York City a couple months ago. And we had great rapport and we got along. I was really excited to get to know them better. And he reflected to me, he's like, it was so cool to see you and your genius. He's like, you're so brilliant. It was so awesome to like hear you present. He's like, now I also understand your work. He's like, I can think of people because our work is very synergistic in terms of what he does is something different than I do. He's like, now I can refer people to you. And I reflected basically the same back to him. I was like, it was so great to meet you before, but I was like, I love your work. I think it's really genius. It's not what I do. Like I now like know, like I will feel really good sending people to you. That difference, right? Like that's the difference with networking. Okay. The other piece here is I want to make sure I am, and hey, seeing a couple of, hey, Bonnie, hi. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Nadum. Hey, Dr. Hey, oh, hey, nice to see you. We've got the anti-burnout coach here. Let me know if you have any questions about that or if that makes sense. But I think that one shift is the complete difference between I now know a lot of people versus I now have a couple strategic leverage relationships. They actually know me and my work and they could refer me. The other piece here is, again, I think if you are attracted to my work, I'm sure you are very similar to my clients and I. We are big-hearted. We are all about integrity. We are all about not wanting to be gross and slimy. We are all probably recovering people pleasers, overgivers, overfunctioners, right? There's a lot in that, some of us, not all of us, but some of us are eldest daughters and have good girl conditioning we have to unwind. But the reason I'm sharing all of that, a lot of us are givers. We're not takers. Adam Grant talks about the difference between givers and takers and matchers. I've talked about this in some of my articles before, which is a beautiful thing. And what I was really noticing at the mastermind event and bringing it back to having networking and strategic leverage relationships and what works for you. And this is also what Adam Grant talks about in To Give and Take. So it's a great book if you want to read that, is what all of us can fall into is we can fall into the trap of being overgivers. Just give and give and give. And I know I just talked about giving value before ever asking for the sale, but notice it's before ever asking for the sale, before ever asking for something in exchange. I think what is very easy for all of us to fall into the trap of is overgiving and forgetting to have the even energy exchange. That is, if we are giving value, if we are giving, we have earned the energetic right in my mind to also ask for a sale or to ask for, might not be a sale, but for something that feels like an even energy exchange in return, right? A testimonial, a referral, a shout out. And I think what happens so often, especially when we're in networking situations, we'll either get trapped into like the nice girl, nice guy syndrome, right? Like we're just trying to be somebody's bestie and we get friend zoned, or we get trapped into being an overgiver where we're just like give, 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 give. And we never actually also let somebody know how they can support us in return. What I really appreciated at the mastermind is we all had a big opportunity. We gave to one another, and Selena really encouraged all of us to also make our specific asks. I think I would say, I mean, that's a whole nother masterclass we could do, but I think when it comes to asks, a lot of us are also very vague and general, and we don't ask specifically for what we want, or we pendulum swing and we make an ask that is so big it is really hard for somebody to say yes to. We don't give people some micro wins and some micro yeses and some easy ways to say yes to support us or to buy or hire from us. And so what I was really walking away with is how important both of those are. In fact, one of the people we were kind of masterminding, and one of the reflections I gave somebody who's brilliant at what he does, but was essentially like, it's his big opportunity is not to stop giving, but to practice also asking and receiving both support, but also kind of the sale and letting people support him in return with referrals. And that is the piece there. I know it sounds like almost overly simple, but I think for all of us, I will include myself in this as somebody who actively, sells and I'm great at sales. I think for all of us, we're probably more on the giving side, and there is an opportunity for us to look at how can we also ask and open ourselves up to receive, whether that's support or the sale more. And what I found, what I just noticed as I was even listening to people's asks and listening to how because Selena did a great job. She gave us an example. She gave, and she also made her asks. I was thinking, gosh, how cool to see her. She's a 7-figure business owner. How cool to see her take up space. It didn't feel gross or icky. It was really nice to see modeled. She gave us so much, and she was very willing to take up space and to ask. She made some sales asks, but she also made some asks that were very easy of us to do. I mean, all of her, and they were like varying asks, but they were all very, very, very clear and specific. And so what I would just, in terms of those kind of networking and relationship building opportunities. And from a strategic and actionable standpoint, if we're looking at how do we build strategic leverage relationships in business and how do they feel good, but also support our business, yes, pour into people, give value. Yes, don't just play nice, but let people in on and build a relationship through your expertise, through your genius, through your value, helping people to understand what it is you do. And I would look for those opportunities. I know I'm thinking this like really helped me to think, oh, yeah, if I'm just going to always do better, if I have limited time, a very full business, and I have limited time, I'm going to do better relationship building, if I'm looking at strategic leverage relationships, doing so in a way where I can showcase and love, like showcase my brain, how I think about business and share value, then I am meeting 100 people and like exchanging names and like quickly getting to know one another, right? I could do one podcast, for example, or like one live stream, for example, like where I'm a guest and I can share my thought leadership. That will probably do far more for me than meeting 100 people. I mean, I could meet 100 people on a collaboration, but that gives me an opportunity to also showcase value, to showcase my work. So hopefully that difference makes sense. And then similarly, if I'm going to give, my job is to make sure that I'm also asking specifically, whether it's to my audience or if it's, more peer to peer, can I ask for something? And can I just not always jump to the hardest ask for people? Can I also find those easy yeses and wins for my audience, but also for maybe a collaboration partnership, and make it really specific and really easy for somebody to take action on that? I don't know if this is helpful to hear. I know after the mastermind, I emailed everybody and I, told them why I loved meeting them, what they brought to the table. I shared slides, I shared some value, like some things that I offer them. And I had two very specific asks. I made it really easy. I gave them a little bio about myself. I gave a link, right? Like I shared that, included it. So not only was I making my ask clear and specific, but I was also making it as easy as humanly possible. And also giving them, this is part of Selena's framework. She has a framework, give. I think it's gratitude, inspire, like have a big inspired goal, very specific, and give somebody an easy out. I think about this in sales and with strategic, like with networking. If you've read my article on the DMs, I always think about how do you make that specific ask, make it as easy as possible and give people the information, but also give people an easy out. Or in a sales conversation, it's not always give people an easy out, but allow people the opportunity to actually come to an empowered decision and to be autonomous, which is, I always think about sales as it is not trying to get somebody to say yes. It is helping to get somebody to get clarity on what it is they actually want, to make an empowered decision to move towards or away from that, which means if somebody doesn't want what we have to offer, creating space, not just for an easy out, but creating space for somebody to make that empowered decision. And then similarly, if they really want to work with us, but they've got resistance, creating that space and coaching them through their objections to be able to make that empowered yes. But the big picture there is having that clear, specific ask and remembering that is part of that even energy exchange. And that is, I think, making the ask itself, making it clear and specific, and finding those ways to have those micro, easy yeses as well as the bigger yeses, I think can make all of the difference for us in networking. All right. I don't think there are any questions. If I miss any because I don't know how to use things properly, let me know. You can DM me and then I'll make sure I answer. And if you're watching on the replay and you have a question, drop this for me. Otherwise, I will wrap this up for y'all. But like big picture reminder takeaway, I think just with manifesting and with mindset work, I really want to close out with that reminder. I think mindset is 90% of what creates our results in business. I think I am a strategist through and through. I have a very strategic brain, but I think what makes strategy work is our mindset and how we show up for something, how we embody something. And I think with that, we forget that mindset is not just in our thoughts. It is such an embodied practice, and finding those ways to not just think through things, but to move through things, to take those contrary actions, to give ourselves those corrective experiences, and to see manifesting. If we're always manifesting, but we also manifest the opportunities, the situations, the learning lessons, the growth lessons, the mastery lessons, the process lessons, right, to get us that ultimate win. And truly, it's not that the big wins aren't fun, but they are so fleeting. I had a 52K cash month in December. I honestly didn't even really like it. It like was such a blip the thing that was the celebration is the process. It's who I became in the process, right? It's all the things leading up to it. It's the clients I got to work with. It's like what created that was such a bigger, yummier thing to celebrate than the like moment I saw my account make a change. So that's that piece. And then just with relationships are truly your business. Like you are all of us, like 1 to 2 relationships can change the entire trajectory of your business. Like truly, truly, truly. Um, I think less is more, but really looking at them as strategic and leverage and seeing it gets to be both. This is one of the things I'll leave that on that note that I really respected about Selena. I thought she's such a good example of, you can be so in integrity, so values driven, so giving, so heart centered, so caring, and also strategic as fuck and want to make great money and really all about the business side of things. And I really think she is somebody who embodies both. I watched her and I was watching her from the lens of not in a weird way, but just of like, I am dissecting what she's doing. I am looking at this from what can I learn from this? What can I bring to clients? And I think she's a really great example of both. And so like it gets to be both. It is not gross. Like really as business owners, I believe we want it to be both and we want to find ways. Most of us are kind of lopsided, right? And I think there's bro marketers out there that are probably lopsided on the business money side, but a lot of us are lopsided on the heart-centered, giving, integrity. And we don't have to lose that. I think we think if we lean into the other side, we're going to lose this side. But really, it just means we get to have both. It's not one or the other. And I think the more we bring both, the more they also support one another, right? The more money I make in business, the more I can pour back into my clients, the more resourced I am, the more I can pour back into the economy, the more I can pour back into my team, the more I can impact people. So I think we forget how they really work together in that way. Okay. I love you all. I hope this was valuable for you. Let me know if you have questions. If this is something you want support with, if you're looking at how do I grow and scale my business, yes, on the mindset side of things, the manifesting side of things, step into, embody, shift the way I'm thinking, take up more space, but also how do I practically, strategically, and from a relationship-based approach, grow and scale my business to 6, multi-6, 7 figures. That's the work I do with my clients. My clients get crazy great results. I have a revenue share model. So if I'm making 52K per month, that means my clients are making whatever the math is on that more. I would love to support you. I'm generally fully booked, but I do open up a coaching strategy intensive every month. And then I do have one-on-one spots open up from time to time. I just don't know in advance exactly when we have a spot open up. So if you're interested in that, you are always welcome to book a free coaching consultation with me. I've been told those are as valuable as people have paid for calls before. That is more, I've had somebody say, she's like, I would have paid $1,000 for this. This was so valuable in and of itself. So if you're at all interested in what it would look like to work together, what my approach is, if there's a fit is my top value with clients. Please take me up on that. I think I can drop a link in the notes on this, but if you go to my website, which is in the link in my Substack bio, that is always on the home page, and I would love to connect with you. All right, y'all. I will chat with you soon. Let me know if you want more live streams, if there's any topics you want in particular, and I will see you on the Substack notes and articles soon. Love you all so much. Thank you for being here. Bye.